So, I mean, this Mason Rudolph thing, this quarterback situation, I mean, it was kind of created by Tomlin. There ain't no doubt about it. The way he handled the whole situation, bringing in Mitchell Trubisky, then drafting him, and then really giving Mason no opportunity to start. Really, when you draft Kenny Pickett, I mean, Kenny Pickett, that's who the fans want. That's who the fans wanted. He's the Pitt product. The local media is hyping him up 24/7 as if he's going to be the next Dan Marino or something. Or if we don't take Pickett, it'll be like we passed on when we passed on Dan Marino in the 80s. And Mason, he got cast aside by the whole fan base and the whole media. Now everybody wants to name him as some kind of savior. And the dude has only started 13 games in his entire career. He hasn't even started a whole season. Mitchell Trubisky has a better track record and resume than him. Hell, there's so many quarterbacks that have a better track record and resume than Mason Rudolph. Just because he had 3 really good games against the Seattle defense, who was like literally the worst team at stopping the run when we played them. Who else did he go off against? Cincinnati, who Kenny Pickett pretty much went up and tore up himself as soon as we fired the offensive coordinator. And a Ravens team that was starting Patrick Queen, which we just ran right where Roquan Smith. We just ran right where Roquan Smith was supposed to be the whole entire game. And Najee went off in like basically all those games. Yeah, Mason had some good throws and everything, but these are up against trash defenses, trash teams that weren't even trying, teams that weren't even competing, not even playoff teams. So now we want to anoint Mason Rudolph like this savior, way better than Kenny. Yeah, he is better than Kenny. He looked better than Kenny, but, all these people are saying, oh, Mason didn't really get his shot. So what, now you just want to give up on Kenny Pickett, and Kenny Pickett doesn't deserve his shot? Yeah, he had his rookie year or second year. It takes time to develop in the NFL, and this is what separates the Pittsburgh Steelers from the Cleveland Browns. This is what separates the Pittsburgh Steelers from the Washington Redskins. This is what separates the teams that have coaching carousels and quarterback carousels, that don't have winning career records, that don't have Super Bowls. And Washington has some Super Bowls. Cleveland doesn't. Cincinnati doesn't. I mean, the list goes. Detroit doesn't. Cincinnati's 0-3 in the Super Bowl. Yeah, they had Boomer Esiason. They had Carson Palmer, but it's pretty much been a quarterback carousel. They got rid of Marvin Smith. Zach Taylor ain't that good. Shit, Marvin Lewis is probably better than Zach Taylor. Better career resume than Zach Taylor. And that's really what it comes down to. So if you're really going to go out there in free agency and have to spend $10, $15, $20 million on a quarterback who's going to be your backup to Kenny Pickett or potentially your starter, why wouldn't you go with a Ryan Tannehill? He's never did anything. What has Mason done? Had 3 good games against 3 trash teams, and he's never got his shot, so now he deserves his shot, but Kenny doesn't deserve a shot, right? I mean, yeah, Kenny's had more games, but he's still young. He's still developing. Mason learned the game and did what he had to do and studied. I mean, he got replaced by Devlin Hodges because he was playing so bad. I mean, Mason wasn't that good. Yeah, he played great, and he's keeping his options open just because he said he wants a fresh start. Where in the league is Mason going to go that he has a guaranteed starting job? Really, think about it. Where in the league is he going to go that they're just going to be like, yeah, you're the starter. You earned it. Not even playing a full season, your entire career. You earned a guaranteed starting job with guaranteed money. Like, what world are we living in here? This is the NFL. And he hasn't done much of anything. So, of course, he's going to keep his options open, and obviously the Steelers should keep their options open. Do I think they should draft a quarterback this year? No. I think they just need to start building onto this roster, and they got to bridge the gap like they should have originally done with Mason. Yeah, they fucked up. And now, does that mean we fucked up with Kenny Pickett? Maybe, maybe not, but I'd say it's still too early to tell. It's still way too early to tell with Kenny Pickett, and he deserves one more year, and then we could draft a quarterback, or maybe the free agency market will be better, because right now, that's like the best we're going to get is like a Kirk Cousins, who the Steelers aren't going to shell out that money for. And then what, are the Vikings going to let him walk? And then Mason might have an opportunity to start in Minnesota, but what are they going to have to pay him? How much is Mason really worth? I mean, Mitchell Trubisky was getting 10. And he has a better resume than Mason. Seriously. So how much is Mason really worth in free agency? He's really a nobody. He's been a backup his entire life. And the only reason he got a start is because, oh, Ben went down. And I think Mason was great in college, and I think he has a bunch of potential, but I think the Steelers have missed with Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph ain't no franchise quarterback, so why not just bridge the gap on Kenny's cheap-ass contract? I don't know. Bring in like a Brissett, bring in like a Tyrod Taylor, bring in somebody that has way more starts under their belt than Mason Rudolph to be a backup, push Kenny a little bit, maybe teach him more of a journeyman, somebody who's been in games and has played more games. Kenny's played more games than Mason, seriously. And he's coming into his third year, and then you make that decision after that. I mean, we have Kenny on the cheap. We build this offensive line, keep building to add into this great defense around T.J. Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Cam Hayward. We got the weapons on offense, and if Kenny shot, it's a low risk, high reward situation with Kenny. I mean, you made the investment, so what? We're just gonna give up and like. How many years have the Jets drafted quarterbacks in the first round? That's what we're just going to keep doing, drafting quarterbacks in the first round every year like the Jets. And then we're going to draft Wilson one year, and then we're going to give up multiple first-round picks for some bum-ass Aaron Rodgers because we need to have a franchise quarterback. We won 10 games with the horrid, terrible, terrible quarterback play. So, yeah, if they can bring in Mason, and the Steelers do want to bring in Mason. They've come out and said they want to bring in Mason. But, I mean, at what cost? And are you just going to say, oh, you're the anointed starter and you're not going to have to compete for a job? Get the fuck out of here. Anywhere he goes in the league, he's going to have to compete for a job. So, I mean, I think they're both keeping their options open. And I'm not really ready to give up on Kenny Pickett. I think the organization is handling this situation well. This is how you build a foundation. And we're building a new foundation right now. We're getting back to smash mouth balanced football. We got the defense. And we're going to keep adding on to it. We got TJ locked in his prime, Minkah locked in his prime, a young offense. We can maybe even trade Deontay Johnson, free up a ton of salary cap, get a draft pick. This team could literally could be literally great in the next 2 or 3 years. There's not that many great quarterbacks in the league. Like Baker Mayfield's ranked in the top 20. And this is a guy that Cleveland cast out, a year ago, 2 years ago? Carolina cast it out. And now they're still trying to find their quarterback. They don't know who the hell their quarterback's going to be. So, we're just ready to give up on Kenny because Mason had 3 good games against 3 trash defenses. I wouldn't say the Ravens are trash, but without Roquan Smith, without basically all their starters, they're a team that's not even trying to win that game or cares about the outcome of that game. So that's even worse than play. That's even easier than playing a trash-ass team. Because at least the trash-ass team's probably at least trying to win. They're at least trying. The Ravens weren't even trying in that game. But Mason is the new. He's better than Kenny, or he's the next guy, or come on. We should bring him back. Obviously, that would be perfect in an ideal world. On an incentive-based contract, and let him duke it out. Give him 50-50 reps and let him duke it out in preseason and then go from there. And then you keep Kenny on a short-ass leash, and if he keeps sucking, boom, Mason comes in. And I think that's how it should go, and I think that's probably how it will go, honestly.